Welcome everyone to The Breakthrough, your source of truth for all things Precor and all things fitness. My name is Skip Wilson, and I'm serving as your host for today's conversation. If you haven't heard, Precor was recently acquired by Peloton, and I'm sitting down with Rob Barker, the newly minted CEO of Precor and General Manager of Peloton Commercial. We're going to dive into what that means for Precor and what that means for our industry. Okay, well, welcome, Rob, to The Breakthrough. It's been a very interesting 3 months, and so I wanted to congratulate you, first of all, on one of the most epic deals in fitness history.
Yeah, well, it's great to be able to do it, Skip. AMA Sports had redone their strategy, which was much more focused around footwear and apparel and direct-to-consumer, which is a great strategy, by the way, but it also meant that it was better for Precor to find new owners.
And so did you lead that charge?
So what happened was AMA Sports, again, to their credit, they always want to be the best possible owners of any brand that they've got. And they realized that they probably wouldn't be. So what we did, it wasn't like well publicized, but they said, look, Rob, would you like to lead, trying to see if there's a better owner? And I'd never done that before, by the way. So it was like really exciting. And
you've never done it, and you land Peloton. So.
Well, I didn't land Peloton. We found each other, I think, is firstly, it was teams on both sides, but also the Precor Peloton thing was a bit like putting magnets on the table. And we just started drawing together, you know, because we're so similar and attracted towards each other. It was almost hard to stop it if you had wanted to stop it, because it was such a natural thing. But yeah, the tough thing was we were working on it just before COVID hit. So I think the really truly impressive thing is probably knowing that the team at Precor led Precor really strongly in the last 12 months at the same time doing this. I think that's probably what we're proudest about, I think.
Having worked on a bit of this integration has been a really exciting and powerful partnership all around. Definitely synergies. You are now CEO Precor and General Manager of Peloton Commercial. And I want to talk a little bit about what those titles mean and what that means for both Precor and Peloton.
Yeah, let's start with Precor. I was president of Precor. That was my title. I still retain all of the same responsibilities in that role. So it is a title change. It also is great because both John Foley and William Lynch, the president of Peloton, wanted to set up this up as a business unit to give it the agility and focus that it needs in order to do well. And then to expand, they had a very small commercial kind of team. I admire them because in life you can either grow something yourself and it takes a lot of time, or you can go and buy that capability. And one of the reasons for buying Precor was to get the capability to be strong in commercial. So we now have a business unit called Peloton Commercial. I'm fortunate enough to be the general manager of it. Peloton has done quite well selling into commercial environments. So it's just we could scale it more.
Hospitality has been a large part of the Precor business and opportunity and capabilities and expertise. What is the opportunity for Peloton Commercial in terms of hospitality?
Yeah, it's a very big opportunity because we've already been selling into commercial, but really it was done by general managers from hotels, seeing what a pull this is and phoning up and even just using their own credit cards to buy a Peloton. There's quite a few bikes out there, but it's a matter of taking that and really growing that program and helping people. In a post-COVID world, a lot of people start traveling again. They're going to be kind of committing to the brands that they favor in hospitality. And there's a great opportunity to attract some more guests and delight them and get them to stay with your brand. So it's going to be really powerful, and we have to be prepared for some pretty big growth, I think.
Right. I fully agree that as I travel quite a bit. And one of the key markers that I do look for is, does this hospitality or hotel or resort have a fitness center, and what equipment's in the fitness center? You know, I think when you travel, whether it's business or leisure, you know, that element of wellness that travels with you is important, and more so. So yeah, I think there's huge opportunity there. What are the hotel owners saying to you about what they want?
Yeah, well, it's great that Precor has already had incredible relationships with all of the big hotel groups. So not only do we know the hotel brands at head office level, we also know the big developers, and we actually know the individual general managers quite well. And it's really interesting. All through that chain, you've got people saying that well-being, wellness, well-being, health,
and that includes
recovery,
like mental health and sleep and diet, all of the things.
All of that is much, much bigger. And what they know that in order to attract guests and delight guests, so they keep coming back, they have to provide these services. And it's interesting, probably when you first started traveling for business, it was lucky it had a fitness center, the hotel. Then
lucky if the equipment worked.
Yeah, then you had the problem as you turn up and it would be like home equipment in the worst room that they had. Of course, that's a long time ago now. Now you've got some really nice fitness centers.
So I do want to talk a little bit about that because there will be people watching this who don't necessarily understand the difference between home equipment and commercial grade equipment. And Peloton has previously focused on selling into the home, or majority selling into the home. And so what is the process or capability of scaling or changing this operation to make sure that equipment is made for hotels, university, and commercial?
Yeah, the Peloton, clubs. We've actually had we've had a look at all the warranty case and the service case, and the Peloton bikes hold up. They're strong, which is great news. But equally, when you think about a hotel, they want repair services really quickly because it's a 24/7 service industry. You imagine a restaurant at the hotel having an oven go down for 2 or 3 days. That's a really big deal. The expectations of these service-based operations like hotels are very high, and luckily for us at Precor, we're ranked number one in the industry for service. We've been ranked for many years number one. We have very high net promoter scores, in the 50s. So we'll be taking over the service of the existing Peloton units that are in field, like I said, that are robust. And we'll be getting out to them if they need our love and attention quickly.
Yeah.
And then also just working with the hotel, maintenance staff themselves, because quite often it's a relatively simple fix. And if you have digital learning management systems or a line that someone can call and talk you through something, you can actually take care of a lot of things yourself without having to necessarily wait a couple of days for a service tech.
So to summarize, Peloton benefits from customer service, our support in terms of product support, and then also manufacturing. And so let's talk a little bit about how manufacturing operations will change or be modified to help Peloton Commercial and that side of the business.
Yeah, it's great. There were 3 big reasons why Peloton and Precor came together very naturally. Peloton was searching for a great base to start its North American manufacturing. Speaking with my very new but Peloton Commercial hat on, we're very committed to quality manufacturing in North America. And by Peloton acquiring Precor as this incredible launch into that, and with Peloton's resources and Precor's know-how, plus the great know-how that they had already at Peloton, you've got this incredible scale ability. So there was that. The second one, again, was R&D. Precor's been famous for high-quality products. So high-quality products, as my VP of Operations, Tony Del Gianni, and our VP of R&D, Greg May, will say, you design that in. You have to make them well, but you design in quality.
Right.
And so having that link between R&D and operations so that the products themselves have been designed to stand up over time. And we always say we want the product to be as good on its last day in the facility as its first day. And that's one of the big things that differentiates, I think, Precor, because pretty much a lot of manufacturers can give you products that look good after 6 months. But you start getting past 6 months and into the 5th year and things like that, and the Precor stuff stands up way better than anybody. We have the highest resale value. And when Peloton are looking at new products, like their treadmill, and starting doing R&D on some other products, they can leverage some of our R&D knowledge, literally hundreds of years that we've had collectively developing fitness equipment.
So because we're talking a little bit about product assortment, I'm just going to ask the question, what are we manufacturing in the Precor facilities?
Yeah, it's really exciting. So the first thing we're going to do is make a lot of bikes in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, the bikes are coming. That's
yeah,
excellent
I know.
news. Yeah.
So East Coast manufacturing plant based in North Carolina. Fortunately for us, we had just moved our strength manufacturing out of that. So we had this spare capacity plus the ability to grow. So we're working really hard as we speak on setting that up. And in the second half of this year, we'll be manufacturing Peloton bikes in North America for North America consumers, which is fantastic.
Quickly, the second half of this year.
Yeah, totally.
That's a promise?
I know. Well, it's a promise I've already made, so
Okay.
I better deliver on it. But that's that speed. So you can see, like, Peloton, of course, could have decided to go and do this greenfield themselves. It would have just taken too long. Mm-hmm. Peloton's growing too fast, and it makes total sense to go and find a great manufacturer and then use that as a launch pad for the North America manufacturer.
Everybody has felt the impacts over the last year of COVID, and here we sit literally a year later after the shutdown with our first shots of vaccines or second shots of vaccines it seems like we're on the cusp of that turnaround time. But I do want to talk about the last 12 months and how this has affected not only the fitness industry but everyone's lives. This has touched everyone. So how personally have you been affected, and how have you navigated through as a business leader and as a father and a husband?
Yeah, so first thing for me personally was I knew it's going to be tough. So I thought, funny enough, I need to work out every day. It was really, like, I've always said that, and I kind of was working out probably every 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. But if I don't get a workout at lunchtime to just de-stress for 45 minutes, that was going to make my life harder, not easier. So it was really funny, just at a really fundamental level, just recommitting to that daily kind of workout. And then as a business leader, you can't really prepare for it, but in many ways you've been preparing for it your whole life, because it's your values, it's who you are, it's your moral compass. You can't Google how to run a business during COVID, or there's no handbook, there's no module at business school. But what there is your whole life's worth of values and your moral compass, and treating people with mutual respect and the overwhelming returns of sharing, which is one of our kind of values. And so what did we immediately do? Just huge amount of open communication with all staff, get on with them straight away, tell them how it is. And the other thing was this mindset, being a rational optimist. The rational part of it is you have to see it for what it is, and very clearly. And the other thing is be optimistic, because the power of people and the power of us as a team is way, way greater than most people estimate. And I knew we were going to get through this. I didn't know how, but I just totally knew. I never thought we'd, end the year being acquired or agreeing to be acquired by Peloton, which is, one of the best things that's ever happened to Precor'un.
I feel that crazy. I gotta say, I have, been with the company almost 4 years, and it does feel like an energizing turning point for our business. There's so much opportunity up and down the organization and around the organization. People are really positive about what's to come. And I think in many acquisitions, there can be this fear that there's going to be a cultural shift, or that, goals are going to be shifting. And I really don't get that sense. I would say, from my perspective, as someone who is managing a Precor'un team during the last 12 months, we have gotten closer in terms of our relationships. I've had to be a better manager in terms of change my communication style, in terms of being more agile and over communicating on a weekly basis. Here are the top 3 things that we must do. So I do think in this challenging time, it does make a difference in how you're perceived, the energy that you put out there, and people respond to that. We could have thrown up our arms and just said, to hell with it, right? But what I saw in Precor'un, and I've got to hand it to all of Precor'un, is really a rallying around the organization and those values that really brought us to this point. And I think we're seeing now the reward of all of that effort and sacrifice.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear that from a leader like you, because that's totally what you want to hear as when you're thinking about the business. That's what winning looked like. We sat down as a group and we said, we know winning isn't going to be hitting our budget.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah.
But we also said, okay, what can winning look like? And one of them was exactly what you said, which is to bring us closer in many ways, to be more agile because one of the things about the business, especially it was our 40th year, can you believe it? COVID hits you in your 40th anniversary. We had the picnic organized.
We did. We had
everything organized.
Plan.
And so we had the T-shirts. We were going for it. And so you that's just what happened. So what we said is, right, how can we be agile? And one of the things we learned a bunch, which is like we had Microsoft and their Teams function, never used it. Suddenly we're having great meetings and keeping connected. I'm having meetings with the whole business. People can ask me questions. We can just be closer together and, communicating with people just as friends rather than me kind of have a PowerPoint for everything. And it's just really nice. And we're going to keep all of that. And just being close to people through COVID was something you needed to do. Mm-hmm. But now COVID's coming to an end, we're not going to stop that. We're going to stay close.
Right. And that's what I say. The things that I was doing, early on in the pandemic to make sure that my team felt aware of what's going on and that they had comfort in their roles are still the things that I'm continuing to do today. Yeah. So I think it has made us a stronger organization and has prepared us for the next chapter. Yeah,
and I do think it was tough though. Let's just we had this plan and we said, right, firstly our people, we got to protect them, literally protect them, health, but it was mental health as well as physical health. A lot of people worrying about the obviously the COVID side, but the mental burden of feeling like COVID was out there all the time. So we invested in LinkedIn Learning, gave everyone the opportunity, even if they were furloughed, to attend all the open comms. We made sure that we kept their medical benefits for them and their family. So if anything else happened to them, they were covered. LinkedIn Learning, we bought a license for that so everyone could continually to improve. Because when you're continuing to improve and upskill, there's just a bit of a positiveness about ending the day as a better version of yourself. So that was a cool thing as well. And so, we learned a ton about this and we're definitely stronger.
So the good news is it looks like we have a couple of COVID vaccines out there. We may have turned the corner. Clubs are coming back online. Restaurants are opening up. Bars are opening up, thank God. What does this mean for Precor?
Yeah, well, it's great. Firstly, let's talk about what it means for our staff and then the customers. I think the staff, it's so nice. You imagine pulling 4 10-hour shifts a week in our factories, not only just wearing masks, but gloves and the shield on your face.
Absolutely.
It's totally amazing what those guys have been doing. And I really just want to thank them. But it's wonderful to start to have people want to come back to the office and come back and work. People are feeling like they want to come back. It's really fresh. Mm-hmm. So that's good. And then the customers, lots of people are going back to the clubs. So I'm really pleased. Through our Priva system, we can track that, and you can actually go online, as you well know, and look. Every week we update all the Priva stats, so you can see that wave coming back. So it's really good. The club operators that I speak to, say, hey, we got a long way to go, but there's definitely very clear light at the end of the tunnel, and we kind of almost know how long the tunnel is as well. So they're going to get through it, which is really good for them.
That's really
and then none of us know what the post-COVID consumer is going to want and not want, and exactly how. But that's not because of COVID, really. It's just consumers are always changing. It's just that this has been an acceleration of change. Most of the habits that we see are ones that were already there. They've just been accelerated.
I would agree. Like online ordering, touchless payments.
Exactly.
All of these things. There are some things that we knew were coming. They just came more quickly.
Yeah, like me meeting you on Teams quickly for a quick chat, or the freeways not being so busy. We're trying to save the planet right now, aren't we? Everyone's driving around in a metal box with 4 wheels, and there's only one person in it sitting on the freeway.
Remote work.
Yeah. So why can't they do some remote work occasionally, or if their job provides all the time, and save the planet, save themselves, and help them live the lives? If we want to help people live the lives they desire, all of this stuff's been accelerated. So back to the kind of clubs, Well, they're going to have to just ask, observe like they always do, and be agile and work with partners like us who hopefully they trust a lot, and we work with them and we'll always put them first. Same with any of the other operators that we have in education and corporate and multifamily, just work together on that. And of course, everyone's writing loads of column inches and copy right now about this new world. The reality is no one knows for sure. What you do is just let it flow, observe, and react real fast. We're all going to be doing that as an employer, like the workplace strategy. We have to look at that at Precor and start saying, well, what's the workplace strategy? That's a big deal for us to look at. The customers, I think the biggest challenge for the different segments, maybe if I went through those, what's the biggest challenge for clubs is how to embrace omni-channel consumption of fitness services.
I agree, because it's not changing. It's not going away.
It's like a sporting goods retailer saying, I wish the internet would go away. It ain't happening. So, and you've got massive companies with huge budgets, much bigger than anyone in the fitness industry, all going for, things in this area. And then you look at hotels. How do you attract guests back? What's going to attract them? And things like having a Peloton in your hotel is definitely going to be one of them. Education. We've met with a number of the big education leaders, and they're really worried about loneliness. They're saying it's great, all this digitization and everyone's meeting like that, but you take a high schooler that graduates, goes to university, it's a lonely thing when everyone's stuck behind their screens. Can we get them into the rec center? Can we get them doing group things in the rec center to give them a social time in their day that is otherwise spent stuck behind a screen? Corporates, workplace planning, you're going to have to turn the offices into, and our offices at Precor aren't great, I tell you.
They will be.
Yeah, but
that's one of my missions.
I know. You're going to drive to the office so you can collaborate with your colleagues. It better be a great experience once you get there. So anyone who runs a workplace is going to have to do that. And again, that includes places to de-stress, mindfulness, nutrition, recovery, and also exercise. So why not have a couple of Pelotons take out a couple of those offices or a meeting room, put a couple of those in there, and people are going to be working in a different environment. So the world's changing, and it's certainly something that we have to react to. Sure. But that's a normal business challenge.
Well, I'm glad you are helping to lead us through those challenges, but there's huge opportunities for each of those segments. So I do think that in this acquisition, we'll be well positioned to help, steer that conversation. And based upon demand and change in the industry, I think we are very well positioned.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that this acquisition gives Precor is that power. Peloton have got enormous resources. They've earned the right to have these resources. It now gives us very big resources to do a lot of the things that we couldn't do before. What comes with power is humbleness, respect, listening, observing, and using that power for the good of all the people, to help them live the lives they desire, create the best workplace that we can for the best possible people, share any of the benefits we get. That's it.
Well put. We haven't talked much yet about product line or any changes. Yeah. What can you tell us about product line from Precor and or Peloton Commercial?
Well, I think you can expect from both companies great new products coming out in the future because both companies have had great new products. Our R&D team is working on a bunch of amazing new products. So just watch this space. They're coming. I don't know all the details of any new products that are coming from Peloton, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch of them. So that's great. And then quite how the R&D team start working together, we haven't even organized for that. But I think you'll see any product that comes out of either company is going to have incredibly high quality hardware, amazing engaging experiences. Everything's going digital now, on and off the product, being able to access services 24/7. So we're going to ask questions, we're going to observe, then we'll make our choices. So I'm really interested. I've been so focused on trying to run Precor with my colleagues and, guys like you and the whole team, trying to run it well through COVID and then this sale process. of just, we're just breathing now and recovering so that we can say, right, what's the next thrilling new chapter and what does it look like?
What do you hope it looks like? What does the next chapter look like for you?
In many ways, what I hope is it looks like all the great things that we were doing anyway. Like the DNA that we all share at Precor and Peloton, and that's why the companies are coming together without me really having to force it. The teams are starting to naturally pull together. You know that.
I do. I'll say I have worked with many partners, but there's always, when you meet someone new, right? It takes a minute for you to find that rhythm, and the rhythm was just natural from our team. So I do think there's just a synergy and an energy and a commitment to excellence across both entities and how one enterprise, right? So it's a natural fit, is what I feel.
Yeah. So I'll spin the roles back on you. Why do you think there is that? You run the teams, and you hope that, like, I didn't have to brief you and say, oh, please get on well with your new teammates. I was like, wow, how'd you get on in that meeting? And you're like, great, we're just going to do great things together.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't give my cell phone out to everyone, but they have my cell phone.
But I'm like, right, I didn't need to do anything there.
You know what it is? It's not only a passion for fitness. We tend to talk a lot about fitness because that has historically been our business, but it is just like a commitment to doing awesome work, and then a passion behind it and a care for the colleagues. Like there is a care and a natural respect that definitely comes through. It's not forced. It is a partnership, and whether it is John Foley or it's William Lynch or someone that's just starting their career, there is a respect for humans. Yeah. And that's what comes through in the content, and that's what comes through in our product experiences. And so it's just a natural baseline for having a really thoughtful conversation.
It's great. It's not easy to turn what you hope to be true into a daily habit. And, amongst an organization, you've got to take your hat off to them. They're doing amazing things. But how they've done it as well is a commitment to trying to create the best workplace in the world for the best people in the world. And I think they went after that early, and that's really serving them well as they scale now. They're like 7,000 people working there, which is incredible. The Precor mission, as you well know, is we develop personalized health and fitness experiences that help people live the lives they desire. Mm-hmm. And so Peloton, they've never used these exact words, but they're always trying to help people live the lives they desire.
Yeah.
And it's their members, the community. They do great stuff in the community. That 100 million pledge for diversity. That's incredible. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah,
and then,
the Peloton pledge.
Yeah, and then you look at the employees. They're trying to help them live the lives that they desire. And to see that go right from top, right through the business, I tell you, that's really impressive. And, as a business leader, I aspire to be as good as that.
So what do the next 12 months look like for you and the team?
Yeah, it's something that I'm going to be telling them all about soon, because we focus so much on closing the deal and making sure we had a good integration. But the next 12 months are going to be busy, but they're going to be busy with integration. Firstly, the first thing is bringing these two organizations together. And of course, Peloton Commercial and Precor, that's a business unit. But what you want is really common sense synergies, the best of both worlds. So we're going to work on that, and that's something that doesn't happen overnight. We know that we've got to be manufacturing lots of bikes in North Carolina for Peloton, which is really, really wonderful to see our factories so busy there. There's joint R&D, and then we have to get the quick wins, and the quick wins are taking over the service of all of the products that are currently out there in commercial environments. The Peloton bikes and their tread, which is just hitting various markets in the next few months. Sell that into commercial environments as well. And really supporting all of our customers, making sure they get back on their feet properly, they're stable, they're solid, and we help them with this new post-COVID reimagined, consumption of fitness. We help them with that.
My final question is, to sum up this Precor and Peloton relationship, what is one phrase?
Well, I'm actually going to steal the phrase from Peloton. Together we go far.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Breakthrough. Together, we go far.